Once, nestled deep within the woods, there stood an eerie and decrepit mansion known as Crimson Manor. For years, locals whispered dark tales of the house's cursed history. No one dared to venture near it, except for a group of intrepid friends, Alex, Sarah, Mark, and Emily. Their fascination with the unknown drove them to explore the abandoned mansion on a moonless night. The night was pitch black, and the moon hid behind thick, sinister clouds. The friends approached the mansion with trepidation, its twisted facade looming over them like a malevolent presence. The heavy wooden doors creaked eerily as they pushed them open, revealing the haunting interior. Upon entering, the friends felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if unseen eyes were watching their every move. Cobwebs dangled from the ceiling, and dust danced in the air with every step they took. The mansion seemed frozen in time, preserving the melancholic secrets of its past. As they wandered through the desolate rooms, Sarah suddenly felt a chilling hand graze her shoulder. She turned around, but found no one there. Her heart raced as she brushed it off as her imagination. However, as they proceeded further, strange occurrences multiplied. Unearthly whispers echoed through the halls, and the sound of distant footsteps sent shivers down their spines. Doors slammed shut on their own, trapping them in claustrophobic rooms. The temperature plummeted, and their breaths formed icy clouds in the air, despite it being a warm summer night outside. Mark, the skeptic of the group, tried to rationalize the events, blaming the wind and their nerves. Yet, even he couldn't ignore the vivid apparition of a ghostly figure that appeared fleetingly before them. It seemed to be a lady in a blood-stained gown. Her sorrowful eyes locked onto theirs before vanishing into thin air. As the night progressed, so did the malevolent presence. Objects levitated and shattered against the walls, and paintings distorted into twisted images of agony. Panic gripped their hearts as the friends realized they were not alone in Crimson Manor. Attempting to escape, they rushed back to the entrance, only to find the door slammed shut. Refusing to budge, panic turned into terror as they became prisoners of the haunted mansion. The friends gathered in the grand hall, desperate to find a way out. In the dim light of flickering candles, they discovered an ancient journal hidden beneath a dusty rug. The journal belonged to a former resident named Isabella, who had lived in the mansion centuries ago. As they read, they learned of a tragic tale of betrayal, unrequited love, and a vengeful curse that befell the mansion. According to the journal, Isabella's heartbreak led her to dabble in dark arts and invoke a malevolent spirit. Her rage and anguish bound the mansion to her tormented soul, forever condemning it to be haunted by her vengeful spirit. Realizing they were intruders in her domain, the friends became desperate to break the curse and escape the clutches of the vengeful ghost. They searched for a way to free Isabella's soul, hoping it would release them from the mansion's sinister grip. In the labyrinthine corridors, they discovered a hidden chamber containing a locket belonging to Isabella. Filled with newfound determination, they devised a plan to return the locket to her grave and break the curse. With the locket in hand, they made their way to a forgotten graveyard, deep within the woods. As they placed the locket upon Isabella's grave, the air grew still, and an ethereal figure appeared before them. It was Isabella, her once tormenting eyes now filled with sadness and gratitude. Isabella's spirit vanished into the night, and the mansion's malevolence dissipated like smoke in the wind. The doors unlocked, allowing the friends to escape the dreaded Crimson Manor. From that night on, the mansion remained empty, but the friends carried the memory of their terrifying encounter forever. The haunting of Crimson Manor became a cautionary tale, a warning to those who dared to meddle with the spirits of the past, and the once abandoned mansion remained an enigmatic relic of a dark and tragic history. Amelia and Ethan were adventurous souls, seeking excitement in the great outdoors. They embarked on a hiking trip, eager to explore the untouched wilderness of a dense and ominous forest known as Blackwood Grove. The sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of crimson as they entered the woods. With each step, the once familiar trail seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving the duo disoriented and lost. The dense canopy above cast the forest floor in an eerie darkness, and chilling gusts of wind whispered ominous secrets through the ancient trees as dusk settled in. Amelia and Ethan realized they were hopelessly lost. Panic gnawed at their hearts, but they clung to the belief that they would eventually find their way back. The forest, however, had different plans for them. The night draped itself over Blackwood Grove like a suffocating shroud. The once gentle wind turned into haunting wails that seemed to echo with sorrowful cries. They huddled together, attempting to find warmth and solace in each other's presence. In the distance, they spotted a faint light flickering among the trees. Desperate for any sign of civilization, they followed it, their hope rekindled. But as they drew closer, the flickering light revealed itself to be an eerie glow emanating from a grotesque statue, half buried in the ground. The statue depicted an inhuman creature with horns and wings, its eyes hollow sockets of malevolence. Fear prickled at their skin, and a sense of foreboding surrounded them. Unable to turn back, they pressed forward, deeper into the heart of the haunting forest. With every step, the forest seemed to come alive with eerie sounds, an unsettling choir of rustling leaves, distant moans, and bone-chilling whispers. It felt as though unseen eyes followed their every move, and an inhuman presence lurked in the shadows. Exhausted and terrified, Amelia and Ethan stumbled upon a decrepit cabin, standing eerily alone amidst the thick trees. Hesitant but desperate for shelter, they entered. The cabin was a morbid reflection of the forest's malevolence, rotting furniture, cobwebs, and faded paintings that seemed to leer at them. As they ventured further inside, they discovered a room filled with ancient artifacts and peculiar symbols etched into the walls. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over them as they realized they had stumbled upon an unholy altar. Just as they tried to escape, a guttural growl echoed from behind. Turning around, they found themselves face to face with a nightmarish creature, the very same depicted by the statue earlier. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly malevolence, and its grotesque form sent terror coursing through their veins. Frozen with fear, they knew the creature was the ancient guardian of the forest, an embodiment of all the darkness and evil that had festered within Blackwood Grove over centuries. It fed on the lost souls that dared enter its domain. With hearts pounding in their chests, they attempted to flee, but the creature moved with supernatural speed, cutting off every escape route. As the creature closed in on them, they thought their fate was sealed. Yet, just as all hope seemed lost, a faint glimmer of the rising sun peeked through the forest canopy. The creature recoiled, screeching in agony, its unholy form dissipating like smoke in the daylight. The forest seemed to come alive, rejoicing as if a malevolent presence had been vanquished. Taking the opportunity, Amelia and Ethan ran with all their might, following the faint glow of sunlight that led them back to safety. As they emerged from the forest, they realized that they had narrowly escaped the clutches of an inhuman evil. Haunted by their terrifying encounter, Amelia and Ethan vowed never to speak of Blackwood Grove again. Yet, they knew that the unholy secret of the forest would forever remain etched in their memories, a chill, lingering reminder that some places were better left unexplored, and that in the depths of darkness, unspeakable evil could be waiting. In the heart of the city, a prestigious museum unveiled its latest acquisition, an enigmatic artifact known as the Macobra Relic. The artifact was said to have a dark and cursed history, and rumors of its malevolence had reached even the most seasoned collectors. The artifact, a small, ornate box adorned with cryptic symbols, had a haunting allure that intrigued all who laid eyes upon it. The museum's curator, Mr. Harrison, felt both fascination and trepidation as he carefully placed the relic in a glass case for display. As the days passed, strange occurrences plagued the museum. Guards reported hearing faint whispers and footsteps echoing through the halls during their night shifts. The artifact's presence seemed to permeate the air, leaving an unnerving sensation in its wake. Visitors began to complain of feeling watched, and some claimed to have seen fleeting shadows in the corner of their vision. Each night, the museum staff would find the artifact's case covered in a thin layer of icy mist, no matter how securely it was sealed. Mr. Harrison, the usually stoic curator, became increasingly unsettled. His sleep was tormented by vivid nightmares of malevolent spirits reaching out from the relic. He became withdrawn and paranoid, fearing that the artifact's curse was slowly consuming him. Soon, word of the cursed artifact spread like wildfire, drawing in thrill-seekers and skeptics alike. A renowned paranormal investigator, Dr. Evelyn Pierce, arrived at the museum. Intrigued by the stories she had heard, she sought to unravel the secrets of the relic and put an end to its malevolence. Upon her arrival, Dr. Pierce delved into the artifact's history, uncovering tales of misfortune and tragedy that followed its previous owners. Legend spoke of its origins being rooted in a dark ritual performed centuries ago, imbuing it with a vengeful spirit. With each passing day, the museum's atmosphere grew more oppressive. Visitors claimed to feel an unseen hand pushing them away from the relic, as if it sought to protect them from its cursed influence. As Dr. Pierce continued her investigation, she noticed a pattern: the artifact seemed to target those with avaricious intentions. Those who coveted it for personal gain were struck by a series of calamities, their lives spiraling into chaos. One night, as Dr. Pierce performed a seance to communicate with the artifact's malevolent spirit, the air in the museum grew heavy with malevolence. The artifact levitated inside its case, emanating an aura of pure darkness. In the presence of the artifact's vengeful spirit, Dr. Pierce felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow and rage. The spirit revealed that it sought vengeance against those who sought to exploit its power for their own gain, just as its creators had done centuries ago. Determined to break the curse, Dr. Pierce devised a plan. She would perform a ritual to release the spirit trapped within the artifact, allowing it to find peace at last. But to do so, she needed the museum's cooperation. With great reluctance, Mr. Harrison agreed to Dr. Pierce's plan. The museum was closed to the public, as the ritual took place in the dead of night, beneath the watchful gaze of the full moon. As Dr. Pierce chanted ancient incantations, the artifact glowed with an ethereal light. The museum's walls seemed to absorb the sorrowful cries of the vengeful spirit. In a final surge of energy, the artifact shattered, releasing the spirit and banishing the curse. With the artifact's malevolence lifted, the museum returned to its former state of tranquility. The once cursed relic was now a memory, a testament to the power of darkness and the bravery of those who sought to vanquish it. But the legend of the Macobra Relic lived on, a cautionary tale for generations to come, warning of the consequences that awaited those who sought to possess something not meant for mortal hands. And as the museum doors reopened, visitors could not help but wonder if they still felt a faint presence lurking in the shadows, a reminder that some malevolence could never truly be erased. In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Oakwood Heights, a new family moved into an old, eerie house on Elm Street. The house had stood vacant for years, shrouded in whispers of dark secrets. The locals warned the newcomers about their enigmatic neighbor, Mr. Blackwood, whose past was a labyrinth of shadows and mysteries. As the days turned into weeks, the family settled into their new home, blissfully unaware of the sinister presence next door. Mr. Blackwood, a tall and gaunt figure with piercing eyes, lived a reclusive life, rarely seen outside his home. However, when he did venture out, a chilling aura followed him, causing unease among those who crossed his path. As the weeks passed, strange occurrences began to plague the new family. Their belongings would inexplicably move from their original places, and eerie whispers echoed through the walls of their house late at night. The children reported seeing ghostly figures lurking outside their bedroom windows. The family's dog, usually docile and friendly, grew increasingly agitated and would bark uncontrollably whenever Mr. Blackwood was nearby. The family started to suspect that their neighbor might be somehow connected to these unsettling events. One evening, the family's eldest son, Danny, couldn't resist his curiosity any longer. He decided to investigate the source of the eerie happenings and ventured into Mr. Blackwood's overgrown backyard. As he approached the old house, he noticed strange symbols etched onto the walls and the doors, hinting at something occult and forbidden. Danny hesitated, but pushed forward, driven by a need to unravel the truth. He peered through a dusty window, catching a glimpse of Mr. Blackwood in his dimly lit study, surrounded by ancient books and peculiar artifacts. As Danny watched in horror, he saw Mr. Blackwood perform a sinister ritual, invoking dark forces from a cryptic grimoire. The air crackled with malevolence, and Danny felt an overwhelming sense of dread that sent him fleeing back to his home, terrified. Danny confided in his family about what he had witnessed. They decided to confront Mr. Blackwood about his dark secrets, seeking answers to the unsettling events that haunted their lives. With trembling hearts, they knocked on Mr. Blackwood's door, and to their surprise, he invited them inside. His house was filled with curiosities and relics from distant lands, but there was an undeniable feeling of menace in the air. Mr. Blackwood, his voice cold and distant, finally revealed the truth about his past. Centuries ago, he had dabbled in the dark arts, seeking forbidden knowledge and power. In his pursuit of immortality, he had become entwined with malevolent entities, cursed to live a life shrouded in darkness. As he spoke, the atmosphere in the room grew stifling, and the family felt a chilling presence closing in on them. They realized that Mr. Blackwood's malevolent past was haunting them, seeking to possess their souls. With a sinister grin, Mr. Blackwood offered them a deal in exchange of their peaceful lives for untold power and secrets. The family recoiled in horror, realizing the price they would have to pay. Summoning their courage, they refused his offer, breaking the cycle of malevolence that had entangled Mr. Blackwood's life. Furious, he unleashed his dark powers, causing the walls to shake and the room to fill with spectral apparitions. In a desperate attempt to protect his family, the father invoked a sacred talisman that had been passed down through generations, warding off the dark forces. The talisman's light engulfed Mr. Blackwood, and his terrifying secrets were banished back to the shadows. From that day on, the family lived in peace, knowing that they had confronted and vanquished the malevolence that lurked next door. Mr. Blackwood's house stood empty once more, a reminder of the sinister past that had been forever sealed away. But the family would never forget the chilling encounter with their mysterious neighbor, a haunting tale they would pass down to future generations, a story of darkness, courage, and the triumph of light over malevolence. In the outskirts of town, nestled among overgrown trees and forgotten memories, stood an abandoned psychiatric institution known as Ashcroft Asylum. Its crumbling facade and broken windows held the echoes of tormented souls that had once sought solace within its walls. Over the years, the asylum had become a haven for urban legends and ghostly tales. One fateful night, Jake, a seasoned night watchman, took up the duty of guarding the desolate asylum. With no one for company but the creaking of old floorboards and the howling wind, he wandered the dark hallways with a flashlight in hand. As the hours ticked by, the asylum came to life with strange phenomena. Shadows danced on the walls, and eerie whispers echoed through the empty rooms. Despite Jake's nerves being on edge, he dismissed these occurrences as mere figments of his imagination. Yet, as the night deepened, the phenomena intensified. Doors would slam shut on their own, and a chilling coldness enveloped the air. Jake's flashlight flickered uncontrollably, as if something sought to draw him into the darkness. In the corner of his eye, he caught glimpses of ghostly apparitions darting through the shadows. The faces of long-forgotten patients seemed to materialize on the cracked walls, silently beckoning him to join them in their torment. As fear gnawed at his sanity, Jake questioned his decision to take this job, but the thought of quitting and facing the ridicule of his peers kept him anchored to his post. He decided to seek solace in the security room, where he could monitor the asylum's surveillance cameras and hopefully feel safer. Inside the security room, the flickering screens displayed images that sent shivers down his spine. On one monitor, a spectral figure in tattered clothes wandered aimlessly through the asylum's courtyard. On another, a wheelchair moved on its own down the dimly lit hallways. As Jake gazed in disbelief, a raspy whisper echoed from the speakers, a sinister voice calling his name. He froze, his heart pounding in his chest. A sense of dread washed over him, and he knew he was not alone in the security room. With a trembling hand, he switched off the speakers, hoping to silence the haunting voice. But the whispers continued, now emanating from the darkness outside the room. Jake knew he had to face whatever malevolent presence lurked in the asylum, or risk losing his sanity. Summoning his courage, he ventured back into the hallways, determined to confront the source of these eerie occurrences. As he turned a corner, he came face to face with a spectre, a ghastly figure with hollow eyes and the tattered straitjacket, a former patient who had succumbed to the asylum's horrors. The spectre reached out with skeletal fingers, its voice a tortured moan. Jake felt an overwhelming surge of compassion and fear. He understood that these tormented souls were trapped, unable to find peace even in death. With empathy in his heart, Jake spoke softly, promising to help them find release from their suffering. As he did, the asylum seemed to respond. The paranormal activity subsided, and the atmosphere grew less oppressive. Over the following nights, Jake returned to the asylum with candles and incense, holding makeshift rituals to honor the souls of the departed. With each ceremony, the tormented spirits seemed to grow calmer, finding a semblance of solace in Jake's presence. As time passed, the abandoned institution underwent a transformation. The paranormal occurrences became less frequent, and the asylum became a place of reflection and healing. In its once haunted hallways, Jake found a sense of purpose, a night watchman turned guardian of the forsaken souls. In the darkness of the abandoned asylum, Jake found a connection with the spirits of the past, and they, in turn, found comfort in his presence. Together, they formed an unlikely bond, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and understanding, even in the most haunted corners of existence. And as Jake stood guard in the lonely nights, he became not just a night watchman, but a beacon of hope for the lost souls of Ashcroft Asylum.